Hey, what's cracking everybody? Welcome back to Computer Games Hardware. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the video. How you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. Today on the channel we have some new Adrenalin drivers, Adrenalin driver version 23.9.2, and it's chock full of stuff today. So we've got some game support to talk about, we've got a couple of new SDKs in the highlights, we've got some anti-lag plus features for some 7000 series GPU owners, some good stuff, some bad stuff, so let's get stuck into it. But before we do, just want to shout out the channel and say a big thank you to everyone who's subscribed. If you enjoy any of the content that we do here on Computer Games Hardware, please consider subscribing. Thanks very much. Let's get stuck into the video. Fortunately, we've got a bit of game support to get through. First off, we've got new feature highlights and game support for Lies of P, which is the new Pinocchio Souls-like, which is received fairly positive reviews on Steam and other platforms that people are enjoying, so get a little performance boost in that. We also have some game support for Party Animals, which is a multiplayer Fall Guys like type of game where you play as like cute little animals, so I think that's relatively popular. I'm not too sure, I've never actually got into that one myself, but anyway, you got some game support for that. We also have some support for the Crew Motorsport, so that's just released recently, so expect a little bit of a performance upgrade in the Crew Motorsport. Alright, so next up on the feature highlights, we have some additional SDK support, and SDK, for those who don't know, stands for Software Development Kit, which usually is something to do with the features on the card. Okay, so we have some additional SDK support for the Microsoft Agility SDK preview release version 1.711.3, and there's a link there that you can go to, and it includes shader model 6.8 functionality for work graphs, wave metrics, and AV1 encode. Oh, that's cool. So I hope they've fixed that AV1 encode issue, because the AV1 encoding is what is stopping me personally from upgrading to the newer series of GPUs. So I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on AV1 encoding, but it's been broken. So now if they've finally fixed it, I might consider upgrading, but you know, we're probably at the time where it's probably worth waiting to see what's just around the corner, but we'll see. They've also got support for the Microsoft Agility SDK retail release version 1.610.5, and that includes enhanced barriers and Vulkan on DirectX 12 compatibility features, so some extra graphical features there on Vulkan. Next up, we've got some new AMD Radeon anti-lag plus game support. So AMD Software Adrenalin Edition 23.9.2 introduces anti-lag plus support for Starfield, The Witcher 3, Elden Ring, and Immortals of Avium. So it's saying here that there's up to a 45% decrease in latency across the select titles when using AMD Radeon anti-lag plus on using AMD Software Edition 23.9.2 on the Radeon RX 79000 XTX GPU in select titles versus when anti-lag plus is off. So pretty exciting for you 7000 series GPU owners there, and we'll get into why you can test that as well. So you don't have to take their word for it, you can test it, and they've got some overlay metrics for you to play around with too, so we'll get stuck into that now too. So next up, AMD Radeon Anti-Lag Plus features an on-screen overlay that can be used to display the system latency of supported games when Anti-Lag Plus is enabled. The on-screen overlay can be toggled on using the Alt, Shift, and L hotkey. So toggling the hotkey will first enable the status indicator of Anti-Lag Plus, which is a little white triangle, and then display the latency in milliseconds or number of frames. So if you're a 7000 series GPU user, you can not only have you got support for Starfield, The Witcher 3, Elden Ring, and Immortals of Avian, but you can test it too. So you'll also be able to compare the difference between Anti-Lag Plus and Radeon Anti-Lag by holding down the delete key to compare the difference between Anti-Lag Plus on and off. Hold the right control key. Pretty cool. Right, you can also use the Alt, Shift, and F key to monitor FPS when Anti-Lag or Anti-Lag Plus is enabled in-game. So I'd be really interested to see how that's working. Sorry, unfortunately, I can't help you out with that because I'm running a 6800 XT, so I do not have the Anti-Lag Plus features on my GPU just yet. Interestingly enough, though, some 6000 series GPU owners on Reddit noticed that they could now turn on anti-lag and Radeon Boost at the same time, and even use the image sharpening, which you couldn't do in previous models. So that almost sounds like HYPR-RX without the anti-lag plus for anyone who's not a 7000 series GPU owners. So it might be worth flicking it on and testing it, because you can still see the frame time in the Metrix overlay that we looked at in the previous driver video that we did. So if you are a 6000 series owner or below, you might want to flick on anti-lag and Radeon Boost and see how it performs in your favorite games. If you want to do that, let me know about your results in the comments down below. Okay, we also have some fixed issues. So application crash may be observed while playing Baldur's Gate 3 with Vulkan API set on some AMD graphics products. So that's pretty good for the 7000 series owners, because Baldur's Gate is a huge smash. I'm playing through it right now and I absolutely love it. So enjoy Baldur's Gate 3, everybody. GPU clock may be artificially limited to 2700 megahertz when performing manual tuning on Radeon RX 7700 XT and 7800 XT graphics. Now, I don't know if I'm tripping, but I don't remember that being a known issue on the previous drivers. So they've introduced a known issue and already fixed it. Not reach correct brightness with certain games on select Samsung Freesync Premium Pro monitors or TVs with local dimming set to enable, which is good. Glad this fixed this one. To be honest, I am one of those people that I could not notice a significant difference. So probably either didn't have the games that were affected by it, or just didn't have the type of monitor and card that was causing the issue, but that's been fixed. So good to know that that's come off the known issues. Application driver timeout may be observed while playing SMITE on some AMD graphics products such as the Radeon 7900 XTX. Alright, finally on the fixed issues, we have intermittent application crash or driver timeout may be observed while playing F1 23 on some AMD graphics cards such as the 7800 XT. So that's been sorted out for you F1 drivers out there. Alright, so that's it for the fixed issues. Let's get on to some of the known issues. And, it's starting to feel like these are just here for content for Dan, because it's just a list of the greatest hits. So known issue number 1 is performance metrics overlay may report NA for FPS in various games. So it's been there for an eternity, so that's probably not changing. There's always going to be something with the drivers, so I'm glad it's just the Metrix overlay then. Interesting. So the audio may intermittently become out of sync with video when recording from AMD Software Adrenalin Edition with AV1 codec is still on the known issues, and again, it's one of the reasons that's keeping me from upgrading, because like I want to use AV1 encoding and I want it to work, so there's no point in having it and there's no point in upgrading if it's not going to work properly and it's going to have some issues. So pretty disappointed to see that there. It's a pretty big feature, so AMD should have a rocket up them and be looking after that one. Alright, lastly for the known issues, we have the display may intermittently freeze after changing the encoding format while streaming select games using AMD Link. Users experiencing this issue are suggested to select the desired encode format before streaming as a temporary workaround. So AMD have a couple of encode presets in your recording software like OBS and stuff like that. So there's HEVC, there's H.264 and 265, and there's AV1 encoding. So just make sure that you're selecting the encode preset in your streaming software like OBS before you kick off your game to avoid any freezing. That's going to do it for the known issues, but we have some important notes to get through. Okay, so factory reset has been temporarily disabled as a precautionary measure while we address the isolated installation issues that have been reported during PC upgrades. Users may use AMD Cleanup utility as a temporary option. So we knew that one already. That's been around for a little while now, so nothing new on that front, but we do have a new one. So important notes number 2 is users pairing an RDNA based graphics product with either Polaris or Vega based graphics products are recommended to use the AMD Auto Detect and Install tool to update their new Adrenalin drivers. So I reckon that's a way of saying we're not supporting you guys anymore. Unfortunately, that's disappointing to see there, particularly after they've come out at Gamescom saying we care about gamers. Not too sure what the differences for Polaris or Vega graphics cards will be, but they will be probably a cut down version of these drivers that don't have the anti-lag support, I would suggest. So there you have it. Not cool to see, but yep, go to the AMD website where you see I think it's downloads and support. You can go to your drivers, select your drivers, and there's an auto detect feature there. Just download that one and that should sort you out. In terms of performance, these drivers are running pretty well in games, so there's a couple of FPS difference in most games, which is a positive thing, but I am having a little bit of an issue whenever I turn my computer off, or sometimes whenever I even come out of a game, it soft crashes my drivers, so I have to reset my overclocking profile once I've turned the computer back on. So that's a pretty annoying issue for me. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. Sometimes your driver profile presets do not work with the the current driver. So what I tend to do is resave them, delete them and resave them. I've done that and it's still doing it, and it's a bit spotty, so I don't know why it's doing that. I've got to do a little bit more testing and I'll let you guys know. I'll either do another video or post an update to let you guys know if it was a Dan error or it's something to do with the drivers. So I rolled back to see if it was affecting the 23.9.1 drivers, and it is not. So the rolled back again and it started happening again, but I want to have some fun with anti-lag and Radeon boost and stuff like that, so hopefully I can get it fixed, but I'll let you guys know either way. Alright, so let's talk about the performance of these drivers. I've just booted into Resident Evil 4, the Separate Ways DLC. Shout out for Quardsy for even letting me know that it's out, because with all the game releases around, I had no idea. But as you can see, it's running pretty well in Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries. And by the way, if you find Mercenaries difficult at all, play as Ada and you can smash it. As you can see, she has some good weapons and stuff to she's got a shotty, she's got an explosive bow and her pistol, so you can wreak havoc with her. On my first run of this, I got an S rank, and then I shut it off and I realized I didn't turn on OBS. So here's my second run getting an S rank to do these benchmarks for you guys. So as you can see, it's warmed up a little bit, so we're at 57 degrees and we're running between 65 and like 74, so it's jumping up and down a bit. Depends how many enemies are on the screen at one time, but running pretty well with Resident Evil 4 and all the Separate Ways DLC that's just recently been released. So this is a pretty good run, so I will upload this full video on the channel for you guys to watch. So pretty good fun, and if you'd like to see more let's play videos, I'm happy to do that. Not the type of thing I'm used to. I'm not really a streamer or anything like that, but I'll give it a go if you guys want to see me slay some zombies in Resident Evil 4 and stuff like that. So let me know in the comments down below. Alright, next we have Cyberpunk, and in Cyberpunk I've got FSR2 turned on. I'm running mostly at high with a couple of settings turned up to ultra, so getting pretty good frames, staying relatively cool. And just to let you guys know, Cyberpunk is one of those games that is pushing some older graphics cards, so it's really, I can't believe I'm saying this in 2023, but it is pretty intensive on the old GPU, so had to turn a couple of settings down, mostly some shadow, and not using ray tracing in this footage here. So still running pretty good, so can keep that in mind. No ray tracing, FSR2, high settings with some of the features turned on to ultra, staying relatively cool at 63 to 65, but still getting some pretty good frames. So, you know, 70 to 85, you see it's jumping somewhere in between there. Again, depends how many people you got on the screen, but you know, running relatively smooth, happy with the performance. You know, happy also to turn on ray tracing and take a bit of a hit in Cyberpunk. Don't mind turning down the settings a little bit more to get some nice reflections, but I think this looks pretty good as it is. 4K, you know, running at 75 frames per second at with the GPU temperature at 65. Can't complain. We'll also have a look at how Phantom Liberty runs as well, because I suspect that might be pretty intensive too. So there you go. Now we're in Starfield. So having a look at Starfield again, running pretty well. So we're bumping up between you know, 115 to 100 frames per second. This also has running on high with some settings set to ultra, with FSR2 enabled, running really cool, getting some good frames. How you guys feel about Starfield? I'm liking it so far. I haven't put that many hours into it, so this is really early on in the game, but I'm just having a couple of little issues. It's really weird going from Cyberpunk, which has a really nice feel to it, and just the difference between the two big RPGs in there. So the issues that I have with Starfield, you're about to see now. People complain about the glitches in Cyberpunk, and but I'm really copping some issues in Starfield at the moment. So There you go, you just watch me die there. But I'm just finding the glitches are a bit much in Starfield. It's a bit I don't know, it feels a bit light to control. I'm not enjoying the third person mode in there, and some of the glitches are just really letting me down. So tried playing it, looks really great. You know, I love the Universe's Bethesda builds. I don't even mind some of the facial jank and stuff like that, but there are some game breaking bugs for me that really give me the shits. So you can see here I've been trying to do this, trying to take down these enemies for a little while now, and I just can't get through them. But that's just me playing like a dog, so I'm dying a couple of times. But I'm just finding some of the glitches really annoying. Alright, let's get stuck into it. Let's get some health. Okay, so you can see running a stable 115 and we're keeping pretty cool at 66 degrees on the GPU. CPU's nice and cool at 55, 56. But here we go. Let's get into a firefight. Let's take these guys out. So I feel like the aiming and the controls are just a bit off. There's just a bit of sway when you let the controls go, and then stuff like this happens. So I've been boxed in by my companion and I can't get out. So, you know, trying to get through, bad luck, right? Frame rate's dropped a bit there, but that's okay. In a tight spot, we're glitching a little bit, so you know, can't shoot those guys. Let's go into see if we can change the perspective. So you can see that's why I can't shoot those dudes up there. I can see them in third person, but not in first person. So it's a little bit inconsistent for me, and you know, I'm trying to get out of this little corner, but Sarah just won't get out of the way. You can see some of the like, you know, look at that. You see her arms there, just really annoying stuff like that, which is pulling me out of the game a little bit. You know, this has happened a couple of times to me now. So you know, when you've got games like Resident Evil 4, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077 all installed on your computer, sometimes when putting up with stuff like this, just it's not worth it. Just turn it on and play something more fun. You know what I mean? The graphical glitches, the sort of game breaking bugs, I'm just really stuck here, and I'll only be able to go when my companion moves. So still getting good frames, still you know, can enjoy the game. I'll just have to get over stuff like that. Hopefully they can patch some of that stuff out, but as you can see, I'm really stuck here, you know, trying to get away from out of this corner with Sarah Morgan. I'm trying everything. Alright, and she's finally moved and I'm free, so free to run around. And again, the frames pick up a little bit, so you know, not bad. I'm liking the story building and the universe they've created. It's just stuff like that that's making me put it down, and really I'm just loving Cyberpunk and Resident Evil 4, and you know, all these new games is just a victim of too many games at the moment. Unfortunately, that's the state of it at the moment. Anyway guys, what do you think about the new drivers? Let me know in the comments down below. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad. Unfortunately for me, AMD have introduced a couple of little annoying issues, but that's to be expected with AMD drivers. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks very much for sticking around and watching the video. Really appreciate you guys. I've really enjoyed making this video, so I'll keep making them if you keep watching them, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.